Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to another day of my review week. For day 4, I'm going to be talking about Pokemon 2000. Pokemon started off as a video game that came in 2 versions called Red and Blue. The video game is set in a world inhabited with fantastical monsters called Pokemon. You play a boy who has to select from 3 unique Pokemon. Once chosen, you get to travel far and wide collecting Pokemon through rock, paper, scissors style combat. When weakened, a wild Pokemon can be caught with a pocket-sized device called a Pokeball, and it becomes yours to use in future battles. Your adventure is also spiced up with side quests, battles against other trainers, and many other exciting elements. Since Red and Blue, many other versions have been released, with exciting updates to each one. Pokemon has also expanded into a huge franchise made up of trading cards, toys, a TV show, and loads of movies. Now, last year I reviewed Pokemon the first movie. I thought it was an underwhelming cash cow that didn't have much to offer except Pokemon smacking each other around in the same boring stadium for a feature-length running time. So, is Pokemon 2000 any better? Well, let's find out, but before I start this review, I have 3 points to make. Keep these 3 things in mind. First of all, I'm a Pokemon fan. I grew up with the TV show, I played the games, I collected the cards. Secondly, this is going to be a review of the 4Kids Entertainment dub, so most of my criticisms are aimed towards the English dub. But there's only so much a dub can change, so some points will be applied to the Japanese version as well. Third of all, I'm reviewing this title as a film, not as a part of Pokemon canon. I'm asking, is this a good movie? As I've stated many times before, I believe that the film has to stand on its own. It can't just put fan service before good filmmaking. With all that being said, grab your Pokeballs and let's catch Pokemon 2000. In Pokemon 2000, a wealthy collector captures the legendary bird Pokemon Moltres and Zapdos, which causes a disturbance in nature. The birds manage to escape and begin causing destruction wherever they go. An ancient prophecy tells that it's up to 10-year-old Pokemon trainer Ash Ketchum to save the world, with help from another legendary Pokemon called Lugia. His task is to retrieve 3 elemental orbs and place them upon a shrine, which should end the looming apocalypse. Can he do it, or was the prophecy misunderstood? This second Pokemon movie isn't much different from its predecessor. It is yet another feature which feels like a long episode of the TV show that follows Pokemon relentlessly fighting each other in an apocalyptic setting. Luckily, there is a sense of adventure this time, as Ash is given an actual task to do. The setting feels much larger this time too. There's over 3 islands to explore, which certainly leaves more room for adventure than a boring stadium. Unfortunately, I can't say that Pokemon 2000 is a huge improvement on the first movie. Far from it. It's still got the same amount of problems as the first film, and I did find it very boring to sit through. Like I said, it's a TV show adaptation that feels like a long episode of the show. The movie refuses to welcome audiences into its world, expecting everyone to be superfans who have just come off watching a certain season of the TV show. There's no sense of character development or world building, resulting in a feature film that's missing core elements to make it a satisfying movie-length experience. It seems to think that simply throwing together an apocalypse, a prophecy, and a quest is all that's needed to make a good film. Yes, those are decent ingredients for popcorn entertainment, but you have to do more than that. Pokemon 2000 takes these staples of Hollywood blockbusters and does nothing clever with them except attach them to a story about Pokemon fighting for 90 minutes. Speaking of the prophecy, the 4Kids dub forces in a message about the power of one, and keeps banging on about Ash being the chosen one, which completely fails because Ash clearly doesn't do anything all by himself in this movie. Pokemon and other characters support him most of the time. Plus, we never learn why he's so darn remarkable or why he's special enough to warrant his own name in a prophecy. All he does is retrieve the orbs, which isn't even a tough task. He just has to slightly tug them out of some stone clamps. Anyone could have done that. He's only the chosen one because he's the star of the movie, which doesn't fit the material that 4Kids is dubbing over. Although, I will admit that the film does a pretty good job showing the weight of Ash's responsibility. He's this uncertain mix of terrified and confident. He knows what has to be done, but he admits that he's scared. We do really feel the impact that this role has on him, and I applaud the movie for displaying it so vividly.
I'm the chosen one? Wait a minute. Training Pokemon's tough enough, but saving the world is way too hard.
I know it doesn't sound easy, Ash.
But you're the only one who matches the legend perfectly. What do you say?
Then we have the villain, who has to be the dumbest choice for an antagonist in this movie ever. Why? Because his entire evil motivation is to seriously collect Pokemon. The very thing that our protagonists have been clearly doing, and the whole point of the entire Pokemon franchise. Yes, collecting these specific legendary birds could lead to a disturbance in the balance of nature, so there's a little difference, but the movie still frames his hobby as something corrupt and sinister. It ends up making our heroes look like hypocrites for judging his collecting, and it gives the impression that the movie is shaming its very fanbase, which is crazy! He's a terrible villain for other reasons too. He doesn't really get to have a one-on-one relationship with Ash, he barely appears in the movie, and he's not really developed beyond a villain who likes to collect Pokemon. He's a forgettable waste of space in this film. I'll admit that there are some aspects of this movie that I do like though. The comic relief characters Team Rocket, who spend most of the movie stalking our heroes, provide plenty of laughs, and unlike in the last film, actually get to play an active part in helping to save the world. It's sweet seeing this bumbling trio being on the good side for once. Also, the visuals are very cinematic and impressive. There's plenty of high-octane action on screen, from the wild boat riding scenes to the fights between the legendary bird Pokemon, each one firing their own unique, colourful and detailed elemental attack. All the visuals are animated with lots of theatrical and energetic tension. It's just let down by the lack of substance, competence and personality in the film's narrative. In addition, like with any Pokemon movie, the music is amazing. The original score is packed with adventurous compositions to support the lively Pokemon battles on screen. Every track is highly polished, imaginative, and beaming with energy. To conclude, Pokemon 2000 sadly isn't a big step up from its predecessor. It's another boring, long episode of the TV show that puts fan service before good filmmaking, resulting in a dated, empty and shallow movie experience. Plus, its whole chosen one narrative is the kind of nonsense bullshit that the LEGO movie set out to parody. Sure, it has high quality music and fancy visuals, but a movie needs more than that. As a Pokemon fan, I do like seeing these legendary Pokemon on the big screen. But as a movie fan, I want so much more than this. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope that you enjoyed this review. Feel free to support me on my Patreon. Now, tomorrow is going to be the last day of review week, but we're going to end it with a bang as I review The Great Mouse Detective. Cheerio, folks.